Hello and welcome back to another video on the JJ Think Tank. So in this one I want to talk about Heidegger. So this will partly be a book review of Being and Time and my experience reading it for the first time in London in King's College. How long ago? That's quite a while back now. I think 6-7 years ago maybe. It's the first time I read this book in English, and it was an experience I remember well to this day. It's definitely one of the best experiences I had with a book so far in my life. I remember this experience quite well. Well, I don't remember everything about the book, all the concepts within it. I just remember the experience I had with it. Yes, it cleared up a lot of perhaps problems in my mind. It just simply it made sense to me, and I guess Heidegger he's a bit of a love-hate philosopher. A lot of thinkers, a lot of people, they really admire Heidegger. They respect him. They think he was a great thinker, a great philosopher. But then there are a lot of other thinkers and philosophers who thought that he was not a charlatan, but that his language was too mysterious. Yes, they didn't really see or understand what he was trying to say. I guess this is my interpretation, because we can see a lot of thinkers and philosophers in the Anglosphere that critique Heidegger. They said his language was fluffy, fluffy language. They say that what he wrote in this book did make sense. There were too many neologisms, and a neologism is basically a fancy way of saying that he created a lot of new words and terms. Yes, so this is definitely true. I mean, Heidegger he created a lot of new phrases, new words, and perhaps because he wrote in German, a lot of the meaning was lost or is lost when you translate his work. Yes, because of course whenever you translate from one language into another, it's never exactly accurate. Yes, some meaning might be lost. But I mean, I read this in English. I don't know any German. I mean, I learned a bit of German at school for a few years. But I didn't really pick up any words in German. But now let's cover Martin Heidegger. Yes, let's cover his book Being and Time, and why I think it's a book that everyone should read. Especially, well, definitely Being and Time, and also The Question Concerning Technology. I think these two books were an amazing read, and they can really enlighten you. They can help you understand the current structure of reality and where you find yourself, and how to live a more authentic life. Because I think this is ultimately what we are all seeking. We all want to live a more authentic life. We don't want to live in an inauthentic manner. And this is what Heidegger goes into in depth in this book, Being and Time. He talks about authenticity, about being towards death, because ultimately human finitude is what gives life its meaning to humans. Yes, so human finitude, this is what gives life meaning. We can approach death authentically or inauthentically. And yes, Heidegger just explores this issue from multiple angles. But I think the main point he was trying to make in this book, Being and Time, is the importance of care. Care. So he analyzes human actions and the being, how to be, in terms of care. When we start to care about everything, when we start to care about ourselves, when we start to care about our family, when we start to care about things that are important to us, we start to live more authentically. And this is the main point that I remember from the book right now. So I'll just I'd like to go into my article now. I wrote this a while back. Oh, so nearly two years ago. Yes, nearly 2 years ago. And I began my article with this quote from the book. So Martin Heidegger wrote, "Why do we say that time passes away when we do not say with just as much emphasis that it arises?" So I'll repeat that. Why do we say that time passes away when we do not say with just as much emphasis that it arises? That's quite an interesting way of putting things, yes, when it comes to time. Yeah, we always talk about, time is passing away so quickly, but we never talk about how time arises. And a thought that came into my mind as I read this sentence, this rhetorical question by Heidegger, is that we do have an impact on time to a degree, because time is a subjective experience, I think. Sometimes time passes really quickly for us, but sometimes it passes really slowly, and we can have an impact on the passage of time. We can make time pass more slowly. We don't, because when time passes more slowly, we can, I guess, enjoy life more, but also we can feel more in control. Yes, when we have a more subjective relationship to time, we can find I guess more meaning in life, more beauty when we focus on the present moment as much as possible, when we grasp the moment as it is, and try to have an impact on how time arises, then life can change for us. And I mean, this is very hard to do. But I've had a couple of experiences where kind of my perception of time, my subjective experience of time changed. And this happened when I played the piano a few times. When I played the piano, I remember a couple of times when I had an exam and I was playing a piece. It was quite subtle, but my experience of time changed because I was in this state of flow, and I was playing this piano piece, and suddenly time felt different. I don't know how to explain it properly. I guess it was quite an abstract experience. I guess it's hard to put in words, but basically my subjective experience of time changed, and we want to do this in our life. We want to change our experience of time to a degree, and I guess neuroscience talks about this. So there is neuroscientific evidence that time is, yes, to a degree, it's subjective. Yes, it's how we experience time is subjective. And this makes sense because when we are children, when we are younger, because everything is new, and because we make new connections in our brain, the way we experience time is different. Everything seems so magical. Time feels quite maybe elongated. But as we get older, because we keep repeating the same actions all the time, because we engage in the same habits, etc., because we repeat the same actions, then time starts to quicken up, and life gets a bit boring because we're just doing the same thing all the time. Yes, so I guess we can influence our perception of time, our subjective experience of time by trying to engage in new activities, and when you do so, you can have an impact on the flow of time, I think. And this has happened a few times recently in my life. It doesn't happen that often, unfortunately, but yes, it happened. Yes. So this is kind of my interpretation of the quote here, of the question by Heidegger, of the rhetorical question. But now, moving on. So I remember it was a typical overcast day in London. I was heading to the library, King's College Library, for another reading session. I mean, I love to read. I'm a bit of a bookworm. I'll be honest. I love to read. Yeah, I love reading. I love reading, different books. Philosophy, history, anything really. Literature, poetry. Yes. I guess it's not good to become too bookish. I mean, we need to be selective. We need to read books that we know will perhaps discover something for us, that will show us the way. Yes. So obviously, I'm quite selective. I don't just buy every book. I think about which books I buy and which books to read, because we don't have enough time to read everything, obviously. So, but yes, I remember I had this copy and I started reading it. Yes, I started devouring this book. I mean, I was in awe as I was reading this. I entered this state of flow, and I was just immersed in this book. Nothing could distract me. I was just reading it without any distractions, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, like, I'm a massive fan of Heidegger. I have to say, I'm a massive fan. Again, I repeated before, he's a love-hate philosopher. So some thinkers, some philosophers, some people who engage in philosophy, they love Heidegger. Yes. But then others, they think he was a bit of a fraud. Yes, I mean, I'm on the side of the people who love him, definitely. And I guess Heidegger, he thinks in a poetic way, maybe, because poetry had an influence on Heidegger. He liked, for example, Friedrich Hölderlin was a famous German poet that Heidegger cites often in his works. So Heidegger thinks in a poetic way, I think, definitely. And near the end of his life, Heidegger lived in the Black Forest of Bavaria, I think. He settled there, and he lived a solitary life in the forest, near the forest. Heidegger, Black Forest. Heidegger's hut. Yes. He escaped society. He just lived in this hut for the rest of his life, in this cabin in the Black Forest, and lived there. I mean, this is where he AI. I know you shouldn't rely on AI, but Heidegger, Black Forest. The connection to Black Forest is foundational to his philosophy of technology. Seeking refuge from city and university life, he built a small remote writing cabin, Die Hütte, in the mountain village of Todtnauberg. It was here, surrounded by the raw, natural landscape, that he wrote much of Being and Time, and meditated on the contrast between traditional, hands-on Black Forest craftsmanship and mechanized industrial technology. He argued that mechanized agriculture and cybernetics replace the natural, unfolding mystery of nature with a chilling technological efficiency. So, yes, Heidegger, a must read. After you read Heidegger, you will see the world in a new light. Definitely, 100%, I think. Well, yes. So returning to my experience, so all I remember, because unfortunately my memory, my long-term memory is not the best. Yes. I mean, I don't have a photographic memory or whatever. I wish I had a photographic memory, but I don't, unfortunately. But I just remember reading this. I just remember this reading experience. It definitely changed my life. And now, obviously, I have a faint memory of it, but I can still recollect it. I can recollect this moment. And it was probably one of my most engrossing reads to date, definitely. One of the best books I've ever read, Being in Time by Heidegger. And Heidegger is popular not just in Europe. I mean, Heidegger is popular worldwide. He had an impact worldwide. When you check online on Wikipedia, etc., you can see he had an impact everywhere. In the Muslim world, the Persian world, in the Iran, in the Muslim world, I guess in America as well. He had an impact in America, perhaps in China. I don't know about China, but he had an impact. Yes. So yes, yeah. I don't want to repeat myself again, but I reached such a profound state of flow and focus that time itself flew by as I was reading this book. It wasn't a chore. Because some of the books I read, it's a bit of a chore. I have to force myself to read a book. Well, to read this book, yes. I mean, I still want to read it, but it's not as engrossing, yes. Whereas this book, Being in Time, it was engrossing. I didn't have to force myself to read it. So that, I don't know, it's just an interesting experience, and this is why I want to share it with you because, you know, yeah, it's just it's strange. Yeah. Now going back to the neologisms, yes. So Heidegger, he was a thinker. Like a lot of paradoxes. Yeah, he well, he revealed a lot of paradoxes. I think he really dived deep into the world of ontology, into the world of metaphysics. I mean, perhaps interpreting him incorrectly. But he believed that there was no more metaphysics, that there was no need for metaphysics anymore. This is what he argued, I guess, in his works, yes. But yes, I'd like to share one of his brilliant thought twisters, yes. So we've got tongue twisters, but we've also got thought twisters, and this is one here. Temporality temporalizes as a future, which makes present in the process of having been. Oh my god! I mean, right now, I mean, my mind is not as sharp as it used to be. I mean, I'm 31 years old now, so my mind is not as sharp. But back then, I'll try and understand this. I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult. Maybe someone can help me in the comments. But temporality temporalizes as a future. Temporality temporalizes as a future, which makes present in the process of having been. So I guess here Heidegger is reflecting on how the future, the present moment, and the past, they intermingle. How the flow of time is kind of intermingled. How the past and the present and the future they impact each other simultaneously. I guess this is what he's talking about. Yes, in this sentence. Temporality temporalizes as a future, which makes present in the process of having been. Oh, man. I love Heidegger, man. I love Heidegger. But there are other neologisms that are much easier to understand. So being in the world, where like being in the world, it talks about you feel the moment. You're just totally immersed in the present moment. Yes. So I guess The Power of Now comes to mind. This famous book by Eckhart Tolle. I guess there's some link there, yes, between the grasping the present moment with as much power as he can, and being in the world, yes. Another one, being towards death. So accepting death and yes, and living authentically towards death, yes, because we can't escape death. When you start to kind of escape death and kind of run away from it, then I don't know. I don't think it actually helps you. I mean, obviously this is hard to do, but I guess the older you get, the more naturally the more natural it comes to start to accept this process of dying. Yes. And yes, and then Heidegger's descriptive structure of care and other emotions. So he based on my interpretation, he equates being. He basically equates being with care. When you start to care, when you start to really care about your own life, about the life of other people, and your relationship to the world, then you begin to live authentically. So, another brilliant concept. So I forgot that I wrote about this. Is the concept of thrownness. Thrownness. So we as humans, we are thrown into the world. I guess initially as children and teenagers, we don't really notice this, but then there comes a moment where we're suddenly like, well, what are we doing here? Why am I living? Why am I here on this planet? I like this concept, thrownness. Humans are thrown into the world in a state of alienation. We all go through this process in life where at a certain stage we feel alienated. So this definitely also made an impact on me, this concept. So yes, I mean, comment. I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to waste your time. I highly recommend reading this book. 100%. I mean, I wouldn't be put off by, there's a lot of pretentious philosophers out there who claim that it is difficult. I mean, I don't think it was. I don't know. I don't think it was difficult. I guess it depends on where you find yourself in life, really. Some books they come to you at the right moment. Sometimes you're not ready for a book. Sometimes you are. I guess it all depends on where you are in life. Yes, I guess. And I think this book is ultimately about our humanity. Yes, and what it means to be. So obviously Shakespeare famously uttered, "To be or not to be." That is the question. Yes, that's what Shakespeare said. So we want to be. We don't want to lose our being. So. And I mean, before reading it, perhaps you could listen to some philosophers on YouTube. They talk about the book. So there's a brilliant philosopher called Michael Millerman. Michael Millerman, you can find him on YouTube. He is a Canadian philosopher, and he talks a lot about Heidegger. So here he is. I follow him on Twitter, Michael Millerman. So he has a lot of lectures about Heidegger. But there are on YouTube you'll find a lot of lectures about being in time, about Heidegger, and I mean you can start off there, watch the lectures, watch the videos, and then when you feel that you are ready, you can read this book. Yes, Being in Time. So yes, I mean the other brilliant book that I remember well is The Question Concerning Technology, a masterpiece. This is much easier to understand because we are. A lot of us are negatively affected by technology. These smartphones, these computers, etc. We need to have the right relationship to this technology. We need to use this technology with intentionality, with intention, rather than allowing the technology to control us. Yes, we need to maintain that. I like to call it a metaphysical gap between ourselves and the technology that we are using. So, I think you can find this book for free on the internet. The Question Concerning Technology, and yes, maybe you can start off with this book and then start reading Being in Time. So yes, now to finish, let's end this video with another banger from Heidegger. Yes, and this is how it goes. If I take death into my life, acknowledge it, and face it squarely, I will free myself from the anxiety of death and the pettiness of life, and only then will I be free to become myself. That's a brilliant passage from Heidegger there. So I remember my first foray into philosophy was actually existentialism. I think existentialism it's the school of philosophy that is the easiest to understand, because it directly addresses our humanity. So I remember I read the existentialists first. So I read Heidegger, I read Nietzsche, I read Dostoevsky, I read Albert Camus, all these books really made an impact and helped me in life, definitely. So this is a nice book about existentialism. John Macquarrie, an introduction guide and assessment to existentialism. A brilliant book about existentialism. This one here. So yes, that's the end of my video. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you if you made it this far, if you're still listening to me on the JJ Think Tank. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you in some way. I hope it inspired you to perhaps start reading Heidegger. I don't think you won't regret it. You won't regret reading Heidegger. I can assure you. You won't waste your time. Trust me, reading Heidegger. I think he can change your life. If you are a new viewer, consider liking and subscribing. It will help me grow the channel and spread more vital information. I think will help a lot of people out there. Comment. I'm really interested in what people have to say about Heidegger. Comment if you agree, if you disagree. It will be interesting to know your thoughts. And yes. Once again, thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best. Take care.